No, you don't need. You don't need the.
I'm doing this my way.
He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend.
Talking on it though, then
He
you
a
can't work it
legend.
up later.
Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items.
What's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and I'm about to do a little bit of research for Worlds 2020, the day one of the play-in stage. So we have 5 matches on September 25th, where we have different regions playing against one another. That in itself is a challenge because some regions are better than others, and when you look at match history, you're not always going to find the same kinds of things. But I'm going to try to take the money lines into consideration and also the match history of these teams, see if I can learn something about their playstyle through their champions they pick. Some people are probably going to try to convince you that these different teams have like very good metrics within their league. Personally, that's not how I'm going to look at it at all. Like, it could tell you potentially what style of team they are, but I don't think it's going to tell you more or less than what their champions tell you about their play style. Like, which players do they intend on giving resources to, and also like goal differential at 15 and stuff like that. When those numbers are dictated more by like which team is better, which team should be winning. So I'm not. I don't look at it that I don't look at it the same way as the people who are like really stats driven like that. Not to say that it's wrong. I just don't think that you need that information to figure out which side should be the favorite. So first up, we have Mad Lions and INTZ. So Mad Lions, everybody's familiar with Mad Lions. Arome, Shadow, Humanoid, Karzi, and Kaiser. They play in Europe in the LEC. They lost to Rogue in the semifinals or the quarterfinals. I think it was the semifinals of the summer tournament, which isn't really a big deal. So in Europe, you have a lot of teams that are competitive with one another. G2 and Fnatic, in my opinion, are the two strongest teams and have been the two strongest teams for a long time. I guess that's not really an opinion. Most people would agree with me on that. The one different thing about this year was that Rogue and Mad Lions were very strong for a lot of the year, had good records, so people were kind of overrating them, in my opinion. I think that Mad Lions has the better future because I like their 4 core players on the bottom side of or on the from the jungle through the support. Arome's not great. But I think the rest of them are pretty solid European players and will be for a decent amount of time. So let's just take, like, because I know a decent amount about this team. I don't really need to do much research, but just to refresh my memory, we have 3 games of Akali. Akali will be important at Worlds. We have Kog'Maw, which is interesting. We have Kassadin, which is a good champion in certain situations in drafts. We have Galio, Orianna, TF. So it's a very versatile mid laner. In terms of the AD carry, Karzi. Karzi, when he originally came into the league, was thought of as a hard carry player. But for the most part, this split, we've seen a lot of Senna and the utility AD carries. We've also seen Sona Lux. So they are very versatile in the bot lane as well. They've tried out a lot of different combinations for their bot lane, which is a benefit. I during my ADC video, I kind of explained how I look at different types of AD carries, and I think Karzi has the potential to be a hard carry player, but he hasn't really needed to do that for his team this year. So I think that it's possible that Karzi can play that way. It's just I haven't seen it much recently. The difference would be between someone like him and someone like Ruler, who even when he's playing utility AD carries, Ruler is still generally the focal point of his team and able to carry games in the team fights. that's enough of that, I think. INTZ is from Brazil. I'm pretty surprised that they actually made it out of Brazil. I watched a lot of Brazil in the spring and for most of the summer, but I kind of fell off at the end of things. Just I didn't have much time once like work started picking up and everything. So they beat Pain Gaming. Pain Gaming is like the team that is most often the representative from Worlds. If you're a Brazilian fan, I don't remember liking INTZ at all. Santos was my favorite, but they didn't play well during the summer. Redbert, like we said, he is a Bard main. That's a very good champion, especially on this meta. Will be an important champion at World. A lot of Gragas bans, which is interesting. That seems to be a target ban from Pain Gaming, so not necessarily something we need to watch out for. They were banning Graves a decent amount when they were red side. They do play it sometimes on blue side. We also see Nocturne. So, somewhat interesting. Shinny is not a carry jungler in that regard, like Volibear set, Lee Sin. So, I think I definitely have to give the edge in the jungle to Shadow. In the top lane, we do see some things like Quinn. So, if Mad Lions falls into the trap of blind picking a tank like Ornn that doesn't do a good job of punishing hyper carries, we could see something like Yorick, even like Yorick, Urgot, Kale. I'm not sure how Quinn does against Ornn. Like at some point he's just going to become very tanky. So that's maybe 50-50. It's probably favored for Mad Lions unless they mess up and pick ban. In the mid lane we see some Lucian, Kassadin, LeBlanc. So some pretty good champions overall. Thresh bans. Looks like they do a lot of target banning. They didn't like Caitlyn being in most of their games. Pretty interesting. We got Ziggs. We have Jhin. I don't like either of those champions. Kog'Maw, not a very good AD carry at this point in time. So, I mean, Mad Lions is a gigantic favorite for a reason. If you play INTZ on DraftKings, it's like a 2-game slate. I mean, you'll probably be alone. If that's the kind of play you want to make, go for it. That is not the play that I would make. All right, next up, PSG Talon and Rainbow 7. So when I did my original research on these teams, a lot of teams in Group B have good junglers. So that'll be interesting to watch out for. So let's go back as far as we can. Nidalee, Kindred, Graves. Nidalee, Graves. Graves, Nidalee. I like that a lot. Rek'Sai was good champion. Trundle, this was right around when Trundle was nerfed, I think. Lee Sin is an okay champion, not my favorite champion right now. Lilia, Kindred, Graves. So this is the perfect kind of champion pool, in my opinion, for this meta. They are the slight favorite. Let's see. So this is the player that hit Challenger on the Korean and Chinese super server, which, you know, a lot of people are going to put a lot of weight into that. Personally, I don't put much weight into that at all. Solo queue is fundamentally different from competitive play, and it measures different things. It's obviously a great accomplishment for an individual player, but it doesn't always translate into the professional scene. So let's look at the champion pool. 10.7 is when we should start seeing Graves. So we see one game of Graves. Not being banned against them. This team banned it against them 3 times and won. Banned against them again. But then it was left open most of the time. So I don't like a lot of these games in here where Graves isn't being picked. It does matter what the other team is good at, but when it's like the same thing that I've talked about before in terms of playing pocket aces. even though pocket aces loses sometimes, you want pocket aces every hand. So this appears to be a mistake. In my opinion, maybe their meta is fundamentally different, but I think it's just still a mistake. Graves ban. So they do play Graves sporadically, which is kind of weird. Graves, Lilia. Hecarim gets banned against them a lot. So this tells me like what other teams think that they're good at. A lot of Lee Sin ban. Lee Sin, Graves. A lot of mid lane bans. So like people are saying that this guy could potentially be a superstar. I don't know. We'll have to see it at Worlds. Would be pretty cool, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. Next up, we have Alone. Zoe, Twisted Fate, Lucian, Twisted Fate. Azir, Twisted Fate. A lot of Twisted Fate bans. LeBlanc, Galio. I'm assuming this guy plays a lot of Twisted Fate. Corki. I mean, we always see Corki at Worlds. It just happens. So I think that... Ooh, Nico game. That's interesting. Not very surprising in terms of their champion pool. When you see something like this shows that this is like their comfort. Ashe Nautilus, pretty basic. Galio. The Galio pick makes me think that the AD carry is probably someone that can carry for them. Let's take a look at this game. (11-3), 9-5, 17-10. Wow, 22-4, 17-15. So this guy is popping off when he gets Graves. Wait, Grell? This guy used to play in... This guy used to play in Brazil, I think. 1-1-13, 2-2-3, 0-2-3. I mean, he has some really good performances, but that's what you would expect from the winning AD carry. Karthus, a lot of Aphelios. Are they still playing Aphelios? No. Okay, so nothing overly surprising. It's very interesting because I think that this player, Jose Deodo, is obviously a good player in their home domestic league and is a good solo queue player. To make challenger, you have to be at least good at solo queue. I'm not taking that away from him. In terms of the jungle matchup, I guess if PSG doesn't ban like Hecarim, Lilia, and then put priority on Graves, I could see just Rainbow Seven getting a draft that is comfortable for them and winning. But I really do like the champion pool from River, and I'm pretty sure that I've watched River play when it was the VCS PCS. I'm pretty sure I saw that. The VCS PCS slate. That was a long time ago. But still, River's a good player, a carry player. I expect PSG Talon to win. If they leave open Hecarim, Lilia, or like some kind of champion that can run over the enemy team either through farming or early game skirmishes and snowballing. I mean, that's generally how underdogs win. I'm excited to watch this game. I think it is pretty close to a 50-50. And again, this is one of the matches on the 2-game slate, so really not as much money in those prize pools. Not something that I'm going to be playing personally. I don't want to encourage DraftKings to do 2-game slates. All right, so let's move on. Legacy. Legacy is from Australia. So plus 127 against INTZ. All right, so let's see. We have Gnar, Renekton, Aatrox, Orange, Cho'Gath, Gangplank, a ton of different champions. Aurelia, that's interesting. Gnar, Gangplank, a lot of different top champions. So let's go to 10.7. Ooh. Kindred, Nidalee, Graves, Kindred, Graves, Nidalee, Graves. So this is good. This is a weird spot where they get away from it, but that is a good sign. They're banning Ornn a lot against them. They do ban Nidalee and Graves sporadically. A lot of Karma bans. Nidalee, Camille, Nidalee. So that is an important thing to watch out for. A lot of mid lane Galio. So this reminds me of how World Elite would construct teams. Some Senna, some Lux, Bard. So I think that these are some good champions to watch out for. This is the kind of team that I would probably want to bet on to give them a chance to beat the Brazilian team. I think that it's possible. So, plus 127. That's probably my favorite underdog so far out of these 3 games would be Legacy. And like I said, it has a lot to do with this. A lot of Nidalee. So I do think I like Legacy in that match. And that's the first match for the DraftKings slate. So I expect the most popular teams on that slate to be LGD, Mad Lions. I think that you will probably see some people playing Team Liquid because they know that they're from North America and they're familiar with them. I think that in the first game, I think that Legacy is going to be a popular underdog. So just watch out for that. Make sure you're not tricking yourself into thinking you're getting leverage on the field. So next up, we have LGD from the LPL. Longshi, Peanut, Xie, Kramer, and Mark. Peanut is a very good carry jungler. But like we said, Talon has a carry jungler as well. So this doesn't mean... it's similar to what happens when LGD plays against Rogue Warriors. It makes the matchups more volatile in term... Well, not... It makes the matchups more volatile because when a carry jungler falls behind, they will often have games where they're like 0, 2, and 4, and their team loses because they're not going to put themselves in vulnerable positions to die and give away additional objectives. So they're going to start trying to trade and just hemorrhaging the macro objectives once they start falling behind. So this could be a spot where we see a low kill score game if both junglers are on carry champions. I also think that there's the high kill upside because LGD, I could see LGD just getting out of control and putting up a ton of kills. LPL is generally bloody, and so is PSG from what I remember. So let's take a look and just make sure that I'm remembering correctly. So let's get a Graves game where they're losing in the finals. Okay, yeah, see 2-3-1 in a losing effort, 1-2-5 in a losing effort, 3-3-3 in a losing effort. So they don't lose. Like the jungler's not going to have these disgustingly bad kill scores in games that they lose. 15, 15, 19, and this was in a series they lost. 1-2, yeah, a series they lost. So that's something to watch out for. Maybe PSG is not the kind of team that you're really going to get a huge DraftKings performance against. I do expect LGD to win. Let's be real. Yeah, minus 667. 20%. Not bad. If you watch the first game of PSG Talon against Rainbow 7 and PSG Talon completely destroys Rainbow 7, because you will be able to watch this game before you have to finalize your lineups for this game. So watch this game closely, and it'll tell you how you should approach the game for the main slate. The last game is Team Liquid and Mad Lions. So again, watch Mad Lions play early if you can. If you can wake up, even if you wake up like a half an hour before these games starts, just go make sure that you check out the results of these games to see if it impacts how you view the teams. It shouldn't. So if let's say Mad Lions loses big to INTZ, I could see a lot of people moving off of Mad Lions here. That's when I would want to bet Mad Lions. Same thing for PSG if they lose to Rainbow Seven. You probably want to get some exposure to PSG Talon just because they're going to be so low owned. So just match the field or something, and you'll have some live lineups just in case there's a huge upset. But if LGD loses, I don't think they're really the kind of... if it was a normal LPL game, I would say they don't have the huge the huge death upside. But since they're playing against a team that they think that they're better than, I would say that maybe it is a higher % chance it gets into a crazy kill score. The draft is going to determine a lot. Interesting match. I think that the fact that PSG Talon plays earlier is also a benefit. In terms of not being as stage shocked or anything like that. You're gonna hear a lot about those kinds of narratives. Most of them are complete garbage. That's all I gotta say about that. If you hear any funny ones, just make sure you let me know about it on Twitter. All right, so Team Liquid, and we already know Mad Lions. So Team Liquid plus 115. Mad Lions should probably be a bigger favorite than that. Mad Lions should, in my opinion, I assumed that this would be like a minus 180. So this number should be bigger. So you're not getting much value on this. If anything, you're getting value on Mad Lions because they kind of underperformed at the end of playoffs. So if I was betting this in real life, I would bet Mad Lions at minus 150. Broxa is not a great Graves player, in my opinion. I think that if you go Arome against Impact is pretty even. Shadow against Broxa, I prefer Shadow. Jensen against Humanoid, I prefer Humanoid. Karzi and Kaiser against Tactical and Core JJ, I think that's a 50-50. But that means that Mad Lions should have the advantage in the jungle and mid lane, so I will be on the Mad Lions side there. If Team Liquid wins, the game will be probably lower scoring. So by picking Mad Lions, you're also getting the higher upside of the kill score. The DraftKings scoring is out. Let me just check my phone real quick, and I'll try to give some quick thoughts about it. I don't want to bring it up on my PC right now. Whoops. Lol. Worlds. All right. So we have LGD. LGD is number 1. INTZ is number 2 against Legacy. Mad Lions is 3. Team Liquid is 4. Legacy is 5. PSG is 6. So I think Legacy is live. I'm not sure how you could stack the teams together, but that's obviously something I'll be going through. LGD Mad. So when you're drafting positions, Mad Lions is number 2. When you're drafting the team position, INTZ is 2. Mid lane, INTZ is 2. So that just means the way that you can combine these teams is going to be a little different than usual. So just make sure you go through as many combinations as possible, and then that's going to tell you. It's gonna help you discover the lower owned stacks. So I'm gonna put that together in my sheet. I'll be giving it out to everybody that's in my Discord for Friday's games. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.